everyone. It's a Thursday night at 9 o'clock. It's time for the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters. We've got plenty of great rugby betting to get through this weekend. And I can tell you, follow the two guests on the show. Don't follow me. I even placed a winning bet, or what I thought was a winning bet, at Varsity Cup earlier in the week. I was following one of the guests, in fact, Thoughts on Sports, only to find out I'd backed the wrong team. That's the kind of form I'm in now. When I went on to look at the bookmaker's account, I had actually lost money rather than won money. But let's introduce the guests on this weekend, where we're going to be talking Super Rugby and European Rugby. And I'm going to start on the top of the screen there. I did say on Twitter he was a first-time guest, but that's not actually true. He was in one of the original shows. I don't even know if I was calling it the Handicap yet. He was introduced to me by Oracle Rugby. And Mark, good to have you on the show. Great to have you back on.
Yeah, nice to be back on, Brent. Sorry it's been so long since our original chat, but yeah, lucky to be here.
Excellent. Well, good to have you on, and look forward to your views. I know you follow rugby across the board, so looking forward to your views on all the competitions. And then also joining us after a little bit of a layoff, but I know he's been very active on the Good for the Game forum and on Twitter and all the rest, and he's been in some cracking form. It's Thoughts on Sports. Neil, how's it going?
No, Brent, very happy to be back on the show. Apologies for the sabbatical on my side, but yeah, it was probably a good thing to just get away from the TV time for a moment. Just had some other side hustles to focus on, but I'm very to go. Got a lot of nice punts lined up for the gents tonight.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I had Masters leaderboard going here in the background, and I mean, I thought I spotted some value. CT Pan at 450 to 1. Unfortunately, he just took a +3 on the 9th hole, and he's now +5 after 9. So that 450 to 1 wasn't the value I thought it was. One of those nights, and I see Neil, the Varsity Cup as well. I guess it's still on the go now because we had a lightning break earlier. So the Shimla game must still be going.
Yeah, the Shimla's pick is still going. When I checked at halftime, I think it was 16-14 to the Shimla's. It's a bit of a tight one. Then I think the handicap was about 8.5. I stayed away from that. Had absolutely no feel on those two sides. I thought it was pretty well set.
Yes, well, I'm sure Henrik Swart will keep us up to date. Welcome to all the guys, Mark and Dino joining us in the live chat. But let's get straight into the action. We're going to start off with Super Rugby Australia, because that's the first game tomorrow morning. And I'm going to bring the outright betting just scrolling at the bottom. I'm going to use Sunbet's prices tonight. And feel free though to comment on anywhere you're getting your best handicap or points line. And let's start up with you there, Mike. We got the Rebels here, -9.5 against the Force. I don't know about you, but the Rebels cost me quite a bit last weekend when they failed to deliver against the Reds. There was plenty of money for them on the handicap. They didn't do the business. And here we get a match really between two sides who I guess have no real chance of winning the tournament.
Sure. So I must say I tried to stay away from Australian derbies in general when Super Rugby was on the go. Obviously, you can't really stay away if you want to get involved with the Australian League now, because it's Australian teams versus Australian teams. I found the Rebels side quite similar to Province at times, where you've got star-studded team full of international players and high-quality players that are on good wage bills, and they somehow don't seem to deliver. I've always found their chemistry when they're playing a bit less than bargained for. So for me, I'm not a big fan of the Rebels, but I also don't think the Force have a great future in rugby. It's been tough for them, tough last few years for them. But for me, this game, nothing really stands out for me. If I had to look at anything, I think both teams have a weak defense, and I'd probably look to go overs on total more so than look at a handicap bet.
And I just see, Mark, the line is 48.5. Would you be considering overs at that
I would
line?
definitely be considering overs, because Western Force are always going to throw everything they've got into their attack, and I know Rebels can be quite weak on defense at times. So yeah, for me that would be the bet. I'd stay away from the handicap, because at times Western Force can show a bit of cheek, although they're not exactly a premier Australian side. They do have one or two game breakers in their team. So yeah, that would be my play on that one.
Right, let's go and get Neil's comments on this one.
No, Brent, interesting fixture this. Rebels have to get a bonus point in order to sort of push for that top spot if they want any hope. So that does generally lend its hand to points. I took a little bit of over 46.5 early on the week. Not overly confident, because I see Damon Murphy's got the whistle in hand. Big underdress. Force are actually going to oppose my against it. Force's defense is usually actually quite good. And I see they've brought in the full contingent of Argentinians into the side. So they've got Miotti back at 10, which I'm a big fan of, big attacking player. He's got a couple more games before he heads off to Glasgow. They've got Thomas Capelli, who was starting at 9 in that famous Argentinian victory over New Zealand in Parramatta. They've brought in Lozano, and then that tight head props. So I quite like the core mix that they've got. So I'm going to actually go for a bit of an obscure pick, and I'm going to tentatively side with the Force Plus here. Force has burnt me many times in the past, as I'm sure a lot of the forum goes. But yeah, I think that the Force have enough to cover. And I think if you shop around, you can get about 10.5 at 9 to 10. So I'm happy to take that. And then for a bit of value, I will take Rebels 1 to 12. And I think I've got that at about 17 to 10 at the moment.
Yeah, the 1 to 12 bet looks a pretty decent one in this one. I also like that overs play a bit, and I didn't realize that Rebels had a push for the bonus points. So I'll also have a look at those lines there. Let's stick with you for the next game. It's the Reds, a -3.5 against the Brumbies. I think I saw on the forum earlier in the week, you took the Reds, before there was a bit of money for them, you took, I think, 15 to 20 on the board, or 17 to 20, I can't remember.
Yeah, it was 15 to 20. Very, very happy with that. For the Reds this game, there's not much else to it, but to reaffirm their dominance in Australian rugby. They've been sort of pushing the Brumbies for that top spot, and now they really have a chance to sort of stake the claim as the number one side in Australia. And when I saw the handicap at 1.5, I just couldn't understand it, because that still means that the bookies are classifying the Brumbies as the better side if you factor in the home ground advantage for the Reds. And for me, that's just a no-go. The Reds have also got a couple of key players back. I see they're welcoming back Captain Liam Wright back to the bench, and then also Felipe Danguno back on the bench. So they're going to have a bit of firepower in the second half. And this Red side is just too hot for me at the moment. And yeah, I'm happy to oppose the Brumbies here. At 3.5, obviously gets a little bit trickier. I've taken a little bit of -1.5 and then Reds on the board. I'm very happy with that.
Before we move to Mike for his opinion, what do you think of the points line here, 49.5? Bearing in mind, these teams, I think, played out a 78-point thriller in Canberra, but the Brisbane humidity can often play a role. Yeah,
so Brisbane humidity is a big thing. What I have seen is often been quite high scoring first half. So if I had to have a point style, I will take Reds over 12.5 first half points. I think they come off the blocks quite quickly, and then we've often seen a game of two halves in Brisbane when the sort of humidity kicks in. Bit of tired legs, bit of sort of lack of chemistry when the bench players kick in, and then the ref often gets a bit over eager with the whistle. So I think if anything, look for an overs in the half time. Reds over 12.5 is the cracker in my opinion.
Yeah, they seem to get off to some really quick starts. Mike, your thoughts on the handicap on this one?
Yeah, so on the Australian league at the moment, I found good value on not necessarily calling a handicap per se, and even looking past your total points. I find your total points per team has been quite handy for me, because you kind of know the team's good enough to offer you however many points you're going to bank on them to give you each week. And I've had quite a bit of success with that on the Waratahs and the Reds in particular. So for me, look, I think Reds should be good enough to beat the Brumbies. Again, I'm not going to touch the spread on that one, because Australian derbies are just too much of a lucky packet surprise special for me. So I would go Reds on total points for the game. In fact, not just on the half. To me, that's more added value, because when O'Connor and just sorry to go against you there, Neil. I find that Red side gets better and better as the game goes on. And with the tired legs, as you said, they've got a couple of big guns returning. Liam Wright over the ball. If they can get him at the breakdown, stealing ball and getting that turnover, counter-attack rugby going, there's going to be a lot of points on the board. So I'll back them over 80 minutes for the cream to rise to the top and cover their total points as the Reds.
So it'll probably be, I would imagine, I haven't looked at the individual points lines, but probably 26.5 or so, judging by the betting on this one.
I must say, sorry, it's on my phone here. I did make a note, but I can't remember exactly what the point line was. But I did favour it. They're definitely good for. In my opinion, I think it was over 30 points. I think the Reds will be good for.
Right, excellent. Well, if you are wondering where Carter's pick is with his... sorry, Neil.
What's that
25.
The line come out to 25.5. Yeah, more than happy
Yeah.
to take overs in that. Great call, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one as well. I think the Reds over 25.5 is the play there. Just to mention, we will be bringing up Couch Critics bets. They are on the Good for the Game site, but we'll be bringing up his specials that he prices up at the end of the show as well under the best bet section. So for those of you who like a few more of the exotic markets, let's move on though to Super Rugby in New Zealand, and I'm going to bring up the outright betting down at the bottom. The Crusaders short here at 4-10. The Blues 9-4 after a good win over the Hurricanes last week, and you can get 22-1 and better the balance. And Mike, you can comment if you do like anything on the outright, but let's get straight into that first game. And we've got here Highlanders -3.5 against the Chiefs. I know there was +4.5 available on the Chiefs, but that has come in a point or so now. There does appear to be some money for the visitors.
Yeah, so I'm going to get off the fence here in terms of calling results. And for me, Chiefs +3.5 all day. It's one of my bets of the weekend. I find that Chiefs team, look, I know they haven't been in the best form, but they're a lot better coached than the Highlanders, in my opinion. I find Mitchell Hunt one of the most bang average fly halves in that league. In fact, in the world at any, if I'm comparing any fly half, I know he had a good game last weekend, I must say, and the Highlanders had a screamer, but they're definitely not going to repeat it. I know they'll be wounded and bruised from that clash they had with the Crusaders, and for me, the Chiefs will definitely take this one. I mean, I'm even considering an outright bet, but +3.5 will be my main ammo, and then I'll probably take an outright on the Chiefs as well.
Well, before I bring Neil in, I just want to, if Henrik is still watching on the chat, he's nodding his head feverishly in agreement about Mitch Hunt. But I agree with you as well, Mike. I'm not a Mitch Hunt fan at all, but gee, what a blinder he had last week. I mean, everything went his way, and I guess the Crusaders were a bit off colour. Interesting that this game, I actually priced up the Chiefs as favourites, which I must say in retrospect, I was, from a pure betting point of view, I probably misjudged the game. But it has me leaning very strongly. I'm not on yet, but I know someone who you may have disagreed over one or two things in the last game, but I know you're going to be in alignment on this one, Neil. I've seen you like the Chiefs +4.5.
No, Brent, the Chiefs +4.5 is my best handicap play of the weekend by far. Whenever I see a team, a favourite, pick a guy by the name of Scott Gregory at inside centre. Look, I'm sure he's a fantastic bloke and has good manners off the field, but on the field, well, the Chiefs must be absolutely licking the lips. Quinn Tupai and Anton Leonard-Brown are going to have an absolute field day against him. To even top my +4.5, it's Chiefs over 25.5. I think that's nearing my best bet of the weekend so far. Absolute cracker, under the roof at the zoo, sports bar, biggest overs ground probably in world rugby. It's a no-brainer to just take Chiefs overs points if you don't fancy the handicap.
Correct, and I also think, sorry, Brent, just to come in something I didn't mention, but I think Mitch Hunt's kicking game is almost worse than his passing game, and you've got Damian McKenzie at the back who's going to cause havoc.
What's the current Chiefs line? I know I did see 25.5 at some stage at open. I'm guessing it's a little bit higher now, probably about 27.5.
It opened at 24.5 actually, which I took some of, and then I took more 25.5 and saw 25.5 where I'm looking currently.
Okay. Yeah, I think if it's 25.5, I can tell you the best bet, which goes out tomorrow morning in the newsletter. I had a bit of a shocker last week. I was looking for 5 in a row and fell horribly short there. But we'll be looking, and that was actually on the Rebels against the Reds. But I will be looking at that Chiefs over 25.5. It's going to be hard to convince me that that's not the best bet of the weekend. I like that one a lot as well. Mike, you were saying, I think nodding in agreement that you like the Chiefs, but which do you prefer if you had to choose between let's say the +3.5 or the over 25.5?
So I think they're both absolutely golden. I can't see either. I've got absolutely no doubt in my mind that both of those will be covered. Yeah, it's a tough one to lean towards, but I can't separate them. I must say though, 25.5 points just seems well too short. So even if the Highlanders do play absolutely out of their shoes, you should be covered for the Chiefs to score at least 25 or 26 points.
Yeah, I like that one as well. I can tell you straight after the show, I'm going to be looking to get that because that line will certainly not last. Neil, let's come back to you for the next game. Excuse me, we got the Hurricanes +10.5 here against the Crusaders. This is very much where I handicap the game. I do have a sneaky feeling the Hurricanes might improve, and certainly the Crusaders have to improve on last week's performance. Anything for you on this one?
Brent, I think you had a bit of a typo there. I think it's Geordie Barrett plus 10.5 versus the Crusaders. No. But yeah,
Yeah, no, he was on fire.
No, absolutely on fire. Big one-man team that. No, but Geordie Barrett, I think, is probably the most informed player in Super Rugby at the moment. I know there are a couple of people in the forum who don't always enjoy him, but at the end of the day, he's close to 2 meters tall. He can hoof the ball from behind the halfway line, breaks the line at will, and strong in defense. There's not much to not like about that. So my strongest player on this game is under 54.5 total points. I think this is an absolute cracker. Wellington, the Sky Stadium is a big unders ground. I think that I was doing some research earlier, and I think that 16 of the last 22 games have actually gone unders at Sky Stadium. So if you are looking to go overs there, do tread carefully. People often think that the Hurricanes are on overside because of the sort of expansive rugby that they do play, but they've always had pretty poor kickers, and this does come back to bite them with total points line. So yeah, and just with regards to the handicap, I've seen it actually go down to 9.5 now, and I would definitely take Crusaders on the minus 9.5. They just got way too much heat in that forward pack, and that's a set piece, and I just don't think that the Hurricanes will be able to compete with that. And I know that Scott Robertson will have his charges ready. He'll be absolutely fuming after that disaster show at home against the Highlanders. And yeah, I think he's going to put in a proper clinical performance and put the Hurricanes away. So yeah, I'm quite happy to also take minus 9.5 Crusaders, but definitely stronger on the under 54.5.
Yeah, and Henrik Swart sort of rubber stamping that, and he likes the under 21.5 Hurricanes as his best bet. Before I bring Mike in, we'll just go through a couple of the others. Be Strong saying Chiefs by 7. That's, of course, the previous game. And he's saying Hurricanes by 5. So definitely going against the pick so far, because there's no ways Neil's seen the Hurricanes by 5. Stephen saying the Crusaders will bounce back big time. And Mike, let's go up to you and get your comments on this one.
So I'm completely aligned with you, Neil, on the unders. I think so. If you look at the Hurricanes, traditionally their game plan I know you refer to it as expansive, but if you look at their traditional game plan, it's a lot of kicking out of hand, and it's a lot of playing without the ball. And they like to play from turnover rugby. They're not necessarily a set piece side, and they're not looking to go from phase to phase. So, and they're very strong defensively. I always look back at their playoff games that they've had in the past, and they're a defensively strong side. So for me, I think the unders will be good. Look, I think the Crusaders will win. By how much, I can't say. I've got a sneaky suspicion they'll cover the handicap, but I'm not going to rubber stamp that one. So for me, I think the unders total, the 54.5 is best bet. And Wellington is a traditionally not a high scoring ground. So that's my bet, the unders.
Yeah, I saw that points line come out, and I'm a little bit surprised it hasn't moved, because I agree with you guys on the unders there. I also like, it's one of these games where that I struggled to make a pick, because I think all of you make strong cases, including Hendrik there with these Hurricanes unders as well. Let's move on then and stay with you, Mike, to the Champions Cup. I'll bring up the outright betting there. Leinster, of course, didn't play last week. They are 3-1, and they play Exeter, who are 7-2. So you've got the two favorites, first and second favorites, effectively meeting each other. Plenty of French representation there as well in the Heineken Champions Cup. And let's start off with La Rochelle up against the Sale Sharks. And at Sunbet, this line is minus 6.5.
Yeah, so I was heavily on Sale last weekend when they gave Scarlets a thumping. It was Scarlets, eh? I'm just confirming, but that side, that Sale Shark side is also, they puzzle me sometimes, because I look at that La Rochelle side, and they obviously power packed, and so is the Sale Shark side, quite similar in their sort of their forward pack and the firepower they've got. Nice big strong ball carriers, and then they've got slick hands in the back. In the back line, I look at that spread, and it doesn't necessarily jump out at me. I haven't looked at the total points, I must say. But if I had to favor something there, I'd probably go plus with Sale Sharks, just purely on their firepower, and I think it's going to be a close game. Like I say, I haven't looked at the total points, so I can't give you a look in there. But yeah, for me it would be plus, because I think it is going to be a tight game. La Rochelle did impress me last weekend, but if you look at Sale's effort they put in, I think the plus is the bet to go with there.
Excellent. Well, I also looked for points lines quickly before the show, and I couldn't find any. Brendan Vessels, aka the conductor, coming in. He's watching on Twitter. Points unders in La Rochelle all day long. Neil, what are your views on this one?
Yeah, Brent, tricky one. Initially, when the betting came out, I was really hoping for a low minus on La Rochelle, but obviously that was probably a bit greedy of me. However, I'm still happy to take La Rochelle at -5.5, -6.5. English teams don't travel well to France. La Rochelle have the best defense in the top 14, despite Raymond Roux. I mean, I'm sure South Africa's got some pretty strange memories of him defensively. So yeah, they're a ridiculously good defensive side, and for me, defensive sides are always the teams which beat the minus because they don't have to score many points in order for that minus to get beaten. So yeah, I'm very, very happy to take La Rochelle -6.5. I can't see past numerous penalties being conceded by the Dupree brothers, missed kicks off the tee by Rob Dupree, just mistakes in ball of hand from the big South Africans. La Rochelle will have that covered. They know exactly what they're going to try to do. They're going to try and muscle them up front. La Rochelle are physical enough side. They got Kobala and a higher West will steer the ship. Aotearoa is going to sort of pierce the 12th channel, and then they've got the exciting backside wide. So for me, La Rochelle -5.5 is an absolute cracker. And I don't think there are any points available. But if I got a line of about 48.5, I'd probably look for an under some sale points.
Right, under sale points, yeah, because the way I always find if you fancy a team strong on the minus, then you battle to go unders on the total line because you're sort of expecting them to run away with it, and often then the play is to go on the other team on the under. Stephen Marks rubber stamping your selection there, La Rochelle -6.5. That's going to be an interesting one. I must say, I battled to get my head around like Raymond Roux, for example, because to be honest, I didn't rate him that highly when he was in South Africa, but he seems to be playing really well there. Obviously, very, very well coached. I think Mike is the coach there, hey?
Ronan O'Gara.
Yeah, is he the coach at La Rochelle? I think so.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
so he's doing a great job.
But is he not kicking?
Yeah, he went from the Crusaders.
Is he just the kicking coach?
I think he's backline coach, but he's got quite a firm view of the head coach role as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I must say, because I wasn't impressed. Yeah, I remember he went from the Crusaders, but I wasn't impressed with West's kicking. I mean, I've never been the biggest fan of his. I find he doesn't take the ball to the line, and he's got that natural drift, and so does Rules. So that La Rochelle backline does have a tendency, unless their forwards are straightening, to run diagonally, and the Cell Sharks forward pack would trial them if they do that. But I mean, like I say, nothing really jumped out at me there. So fair play, I can't really rubber stamp anything there.
Well, great to hear from Dave in Ireland there, coming in La Rochelle to win and unders. So yeah, it's a must say. I'd have to say credit to the bookies. They seem to have got this one spot on as far as the handicap goes, because we've had quite a bit of division amongst the live chat. Just confirmation there that O'Gara is the head coach. I know we've got a good Irish mate here in South Africa, and he reckons O'Gara is going to be the Ireland coach before long as well, probably after the next World Cup. Let's have a look at the next game then, Mike, and we'll stick with you on this one. And this is a big one because, I mean, here we got effectively the two of the top three favourites in the competition, and Exeter slight underdogs at home against Leinster.
Yeah, so for me, this is also one of my bets of the weekend. I'm on Leinster all the way here. Look, I know they've got a couple of big guns missing. Off the top of my head, there were one or two from the pack. I think Gary Ringrose was potentially out as well, if I remember correctly. But yeah, for me, Exeter have been in bang average form. They actually used to be one of my favorite betting sides. They were always good for a minus in the past like 2-3 years or so. And they haven't been great recently. So I think Leinster's class will rise to the top with this occasion, and I'm very comfortable on a Leinster minus there.
Right, Neil, interesting. I want to bring you in there because I want to echo Mark's thoughts on Exeter. The last couple of seasons have been great to fall on the minus, but I'm following them this season and watching some of the games, they just to me don't look like the same side. And I'm also leaning towards Leinster here.
Yeah, I think Exeter have sort of struggled without the internationals in the last couple of weeks. Now that they've come back, obviously got a bit of game time under the belt. This is a tricky one for me. I'm probably going to take the either team by 7 or less in this market. I want to say I'm probably leaning Chiefs actually at this stage. I just feel that Leinster a bit out of match practice. Not that that probably even matters for them. Obviously, with the game getting cancelled last weekend because of COVID. But yeah, so I think Chiefs at home. I haven't seen many teams go to Sandy Park and win, even if it is the Pro 14 champion and probably one of the best teams in the world. So tentative siding with Chiefs, but I will look for either team by 7 or less here.
Yes, well, the Crow Tips will be happy to hear that. Chris, you're not the only one on Exeter. Neil also leading there. Now, this is really looking like a weekend to me where the handicaps are pretty well set. Mike and I are there on Leinster, but certainly I must say my confidence perhaps not as high as it was at the beginning of the show. Mark just pointing out quite a lot of injuries there for Leinster as well. Let's stick with you, Neil, for the next game. It's Bordeaux up against Racing. Racing are 7-2, tie second favourites for the tournament, and they play against the Bordeaux side that remind me who they thrashed last week. I think they gave out quite a hammering, and they're plus 2.5 at home.
Yeah, Brent, they gave out a bit of a hammering to my favourite side. My personal side, the Bristol Bears. So that was a bit upsetting. And I was also on Bristol to win there as well. So even a little bit more upsetting. But a couple of late flurry of tries got the game getting buried. For this game, when I first saw the betting, I immediately wanted to take Racing. But just upon further thought, I'm actually leaning Bordeaux at the moment. I'm going to look to take Bordeaux plus 3.5 and look to take Bordeaux between 1 and 12. Just pure gut feel on this. Racing not at home, not on their fast pitch under the roof. They have to travel to Bordeaux. Bordeaux is very, very good at home. Got great defense, big pack, tough to move, very, very strong set piece, strong scrum. Usually they're commanding things from the fly. So yeah, I think it's going to take a huge effort from these sort of volatile, often good Racing backs to get a result away at Bordeaux. If Finn Russell was playing at 10, then for Racing, then maybe it would be a different story. But at the moment, I'm leaning Bordeaux.
Right, interested to hear if Mark is going to rubber stamp this or go against you, Mark.
Yeah, I was also upset last week, I must say. I had Bristol as well. And it was terrible to see Joseph Dweba, South African, stabbing us in the back. But I must say, for me, I'm a big Racing fan. So it's going to be a tricky one. Nothing leaped out at me here. I know it's going to be tough. French derbies are very difficult to call. I probably would be a bit more. I'd probably favour Bordeaux a lot more if it was, a fully fledged match with fans and, the atmosphere that comes with it. But I find Bordeaux a bit one-dimensional. That being said, Racing can be messy, and from time to time they aren't as clinical as I'd like them to be. But I'm probably, again, like you said, it's a bit of a gut feel call. But I'm kind of on Racing here just purely because of the quality they have in their side. I like Jalibert, and I'm a massive, massive Finn Russell fan. He's probably one of my favorite 10s to watch. And obviously, that's going to count against him. But for me, I'm going to go Racing minus here.
Right, so we definitely got some differences of opinion on the panel and in amongst the live chat as well. Mark, I'm going to stay with you for the next game. It's the final quarter-final we're going to talk on, and it's a French derby again, Clermont. I just want to check I got this right. Minus 3.5 against Toulouse. Are they the favourites? I just want to double check.
Other way around.
It's the other way around. Yeah, I had a feeling I got that wrong. So they are. So Mark, sorry, Clermont actually plus 3.5 there.
So this to me was the most difficult game of the weekend to probably call. Both sides have extreme quality. I love watching both of them play rugby. And that Toulouse game last weekend was an absolute screamer. I didn't see the totals. Were the totals published?
I haven't seen totals on these yet.
I haven't either, because that's kind of where I'm leaning towards. And what I'd like to do is take a totals on Toulouse in particular. I find that they are always good for a certain amount of points. I'm probably looking for anything over 24. Then I'm good for an overs on Toulouse. But I really can't call on the handicap here. That game's an absolute coin toss. They're both such good sides, and I love to watch both of them play. I'd probably just watch it just for the love of the rugby more than anything. But yeah, if I look at anything that's going to maybe separate the sides, I would say it could be the halfback pairing. So if I had to call anything, I'd maybe say Toulouse, just because of the form. They're coming off a good result, and like I said, I like to watch that halfback pairing of theirs. And who doesn't love watching that backline run?
Yeah, I must say, and French rugby's changed a lot. French club rugby, if I can put it that way, over the years. I remember watching Top 14 years ago, and it was always really dour encounters, and there's some incredibly exciting games. I mean, that a couple of those matches last weekend were really high scoring. So I agree with you. I think this one we could have points. And it looks, Neil, as though most of the guys, including the conductor and Mark there in the live chat, reckon it's Toulouse. What do you think? Neil, just checking if you could still hear me. I don't know if it's mine or yours. It's frozen there.
I can hear you
hear
fine,
me,
Brent.
Mike? Oh, you can hear me. Okay, so we'll wait for Neil to come back on that one. It is his connection. There. So let's just have a look here. We've got Toulouse to win. Johan Esthuizen also coming in. And I think Neil's back with us now. Neil, what are your thoughts? Most of the guys in the live chat going for Toulouse.
Yeah, very strong fancy on Toulouse here. I took -2.5 at 8-10. Just went for a point lower. I just get a bit nervous with a 3.5 line when it's too close sides. Clermont was last weekend, and I wasn't overly impressed with Clermont, if I must be honest. They just look like the type of side that if they go a couple of points down, that just a bit of panic sets in, try to force a couple of offloads. They didn't have a strong set piece at all. They lost quite a few lineouts, and I just think that Toulouse are the type of side where you just can't afford those sort of mistakes. Clermont always look good on paper, but unfortunately that's not how games are won. I think that Toulouse are going to strangle Clermont here. I would be surprised to see them win by 8 to 12 points in this game. I just think that Toulouse have more than enough quality to see off Clermont. They're familiar with how Clermont play. They know exactly what they're going to bring to the table. They won't mind that they're playing away. No fans in the stadium. For me, this is Toulouse's and Toulouse's only. And if you want a bit of value, I'd probably take Toulouse halftime, full-time, and I think you can get that about 14-10.
Toulouse halftime, halftime, full-time at 14-10. The boys are united on this one. And by the boys, I mean the guys in the studio and also the guys in the live chat. So this is definitely one to look at. Just a reminder that the Best Bet newsletter goes out Friday morning. So do go down below in the description box. If you haven't subscribed yet, quickly sign up to that. It is free. And let's hope, we didn't hit our 5-match winning run last week, but let's hope we can hit the ACCA and the Best Bet this weekend. Neil, I'm going to stay with you for some Challenge Cup action now. We've got the quarterfinals. I'm not too sure how much you've looked into these, but I know often this is where the betting value can be found. And the first game we've got is the Bath -5.5 against London Irish. Yeah, Brent, I would take Bath and the minus there. This was actually a sort of a repeat of fixture 2 or 3 weeks ago where they played in the Gallagher Premiership, and London Irish edged them 33-31, I think it was, after Bath got 2 red cards and a yellow card. So this is full on revenge for Bath, in my opinion. Bath are a bit of a team which also often look good on paper. See these big internationals come in, just don't always execute on the pitch. But for me, Bath -5.5 is the cracker. I've also taken Bath -4.5 early on the week, Bath -3.5, and Bath halftime, full-time it was a shade of, it was about 19-20 on that. So I'm very happy sitting there. And I just see that the points have just come out. They've come out at about 53.5. Probably no bet for me there. Just tread carefully with Challenge Cup and going unders. It's pretty much the Currie Cup of the Northern Hemisphere. So yeah, so no bets on the points there, but happy where I sit with the Bath minus and the halftime, full-time. Excellent. Well, Mike's screen went blank there. I thought we'd had another load shedding incident where someone was taken out mid-show. But Mike, you're still with us here. Bath -5.5 against London Irish.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit on the fence, I must say. I looked at that Bath side. It looks pretty decent. There's a lot of firepower in the back line. You've got Zach Mercer at 8, who's quite dynamic off the back there. They're always a solid side, but that London Irish side has impressed me. I find them quite mercurial though. So on some instances they can pitch up, and then on others they kind of lack a lot against teams that you would expect them to put them to the sword. So for me, just purely because it's a cup game, I'm going to go Bath on that -5.5. But again, there I'm going to probably look for a bit of value from an in-running perspective, because I just want to see which team takes off a bit better in the first 20. I find if that London Irish side starts well, they often will kick on. So for me, I'll probably look for in-running value there. But I'd probably, if I had to gun to my head, I'd go Bath -5.5.
Bath -5.5. So if we pushed, that would be the way we'd go there. Let's get on to the next game, and I'll stick with you there, Mark. The Leicester Tigers -8.5 against the Newcastle Falcons.
Yeah, two sides that have been bang average for the last couple of years. Falcons probably worse. But I'm going to go Leicester -8.5. Newcastle Falcons are terrible. They've got terrible issues financially. I don't think they're well coached. They can offer a bit of cheek when they're at home. But for me, that Leicester Tigers side's got a little bit of quality, a lot more quality than the Falcons. And I think, they're a team where when they get a bit of a sniff, they can put a bit of breathing space between them and the side that they're playing. And I just find Falcons, when they go behind, they go to sleep. And I just don't think they have the quality to muster up to that Tigers pack.
Right, so Tigers -8.5. Neil, what are you coming in with here? You're going to agree with Mark on this one?
Yeah, I think this is going to be big team use dependent. With the cup games, teams often rotate, but obviously with heading into the more knockout phases, that might be a little bit less unlikely. If pushed, probably I haven't taken anything on this game, but if pushed, definitely Tigers minus. But a bet I will be looking out for is overs on Tigers points. If I can get around 28, 29, I'll definitely have a strike on overs on that. When last I looked, I haven't looked for a day or two now, the weather looked clear and it's a 1 o'clock kickoff game. So great conditions for the Tigers to get going.
Listen, I must say I'm getting so excited about this one. Sorry, Mark?
No, I was just saying, do you think they will rotate? Because they kind of got nothing to play for in the Premiership. Look, Falcons have a lot more to play for, where they're sitting in the log at the moment. But I found it, Tigers probably their best bet of coming anywhere near a trophy is this Challenge Cup. I'm not too sure. Yeah, I mean, look, they may rotate. I'm not sure. But yeah, for me, I think Tigers will name full strength here.
Yeah, I think if I had a gut feel, I would say Tigers to go full strength here and put in a proper home performance.
Right, so Tigers -8.5 looking like a popular pick, and we'll wait and have a look what the Tigers points line there is as well. Neil, we'll stay with you. We've got two more games to get through. Montpellier, they're -15.5 against Benetton. I didn't see the result last week. I know Benetton played against one of the battling French teams because they were actually quite big favourites. They obviously won the game. Did they beat the Handicap last week? Do you know, Neil?
Yeah, comfortably beat the Handicap. Well, when I say comfortably, but yeah, they beat the Handicap against Glasgow last weekend, which I was on the Montpellier minus. That was a nice result for me. It was a bit nerve-wracking late in the week when I saw a couple of the sort of shrewd European boys in Louis and the conductor start favouring Glasgow. So a couple of nervous moments for me because I backed the minus quite early, but yeah, they managed to get through. And just with regards to this game, big cap, but probably rightly deserved. Benetton yet to win a game in the league. Montpellier haven't been in great form, but always have a good side on paper. So yeah, I'm going to take some of this -15.5. I think that's probably a try too small. I can't see Benetton having too much motivation heading over to France, expecting the inevitable. So yeah, I'll have a small dabble at -15.5.
Right, well, before I get to Mark on that game, just a quick update on the Masters. For those who followed me on CT Pan at 450-1, he's now in 84th position, +7 through his holes. The man ain't going to see the weekend. There's no doubt about that one. That's why it was 450-1. I was wondering about that. Mike, Montpellier -15.5.
Yeah, it's a pity we didn't have this chat last night. I've taken a couple of Masters bets and I took some of Mark Leishman at top 20. Always seems to feature in the Masters.
He was cruising when I looked earlier.
Yeah, he's going nicely. And then I took Day, also top 20. Day's gone a bit no good, but Leishman's doing nicely. He's sitting pretty there for a top 20 finish. But anyway, that's on the golf front. For this game, I looked at that Montpellier side, a lot of firepower. I just find the Italian sides, this is going to be up to the start of the game. I think Montpellier will easily cover the minus, and I'm going to go minus. I'm quite comfortable with that. But I think it also comes down to the start of the game. I find these Italian sides, when they go down by a try or two, more so 2 tries, they kind of give up hope. I look at the ball carriers Montpellier have in their back row, like Camara. You've got Ranach at the base of the ruck offering quick ball to those ball carriers. I don't think Benetton have the firepower, the strength to stand up to that pack. And when they're on the front foot, I think they're going to run rampant against Benetton. So I'm very comfortable in the minus 15.5. I actually think it's going to be well over 24. I think Montpellier are going to give them a proper bun.
Right. Okay. So it could be a big hiding on that
Yeah.
one. Right. Let's stick with you then for the final game in the Challenge Cup. Saints plus 6.5 against Ulster.
So I looked for the team news on this one, and I didn't find anything, which was quite strange. I'm not sure why that was the case, but I'm very keen on Ulster this season. But when they have Cooney at 9, I think he is absolutely crucial to their success. When he seems to play at 9, they cover the minus almost 9 times out of 10. So if Cooney is at 9, I'm going Ulster minus. There's no doubt in my mind. That Saints side is, again, good on paper. They've got some really good internationals in their side, and they, at Franklin's Gardens, they are strong. But for me, that Ulster team are just unreal. When Cooney's pulling the strings, they really do look good. And when McCloskey is at 12, he's a very strong ball carrier, and I think they'll be too good for Saints.
Right, Neil, what do you think of this one?
Tricky game. Saints have sort of shown a resurgence in form recently back at home at the Gardens. Franklin's Gardens, very fast pitch. It'll probably tricky to say who that will suit. I'll have a couple of big ball carriers, but they do have some quick backs. So I'll deserved favourites. If pushed, definitely side of the minus here. But I will probably be looking at points. Nice Sunday game, good conditions. I'll probably look for an Ulster overs here. Ulster, I think they're favourites to win the Challenge Cup. So yeah, I think they will probably stamp their authority and send the Saints packing home.
Right. Well, we're going to get into the best bets now, but let's start off with Couch Critics. I'm just going to bring up some of his. And of course, Couch is he gets Bet Olip to price him up on some exotic markets. And just having a look through at a few of his in the Highlanders Chiefs game, he has Highlanders to lead by 1-8 at the break, and Chiefs by 1-12 at the end of the game, and that he's getting at 10-1 on that one. Hurricanes Crusaders, he reckons Crusaders by 9 or more at halftime, but they'll only win by 1-12 ultimately, and he's getting 9-1 on that. Rebels force Frank Lamani to score the first try and Rebels to win. That's at 13-1. And let's have a look at anything in the Reds Brumbies game. He's got Jordan Pataya to score the first try and Reds to win at 16-1. So I must say, Couch has got an incredible record in some of these exotic bets that he places. So you can read his blog on the Good for the Game site and then pop over to Bet Olymp, where they actually price up these specials just for him. But let's move on to the panel's best bets now. Mike, I'll start with you. Maybe give us a summary of your best bets for the weekend.
So my best bets were, I must say, I was kind of hoping to be a bit more prepared coming into the show, but my best bet for sure, and I'm not going to give you anything special or exotic. It was for me was the Chiefs on the plus, and Leinster, I think it was on the minus 1.5. Those to me were the absolute best bets of the weekend. I do like a bit of, and the traditionalist punters would probably burn me if they heard me say this, but I do like a bit of New Zealand rugby first try in the first 1 to 15 minutes. They offer it on sporting bets. I know World Sports Betting, I think, do it 0 to 20 minutes, but I find you get 6 to 10 there. And if you're looking at those games, I've really been let down. You can fire as much as you want. You only get about 6 to 10. But if you're looking to stretch maybe a good 7 to 10 into like a 13, 14, 15 to 10, you throw in that, you're looking good. So I like that but with the New Zealand sides, not I don't like it with the Aussies. I find with the New Zealand sides, there's intent from the word go.
Excellent. So that's Mike's best bets there. Joey coming in. Leinster is his best bet of the weekend. Right, let's see what Neil fancies best bet. I've got a feeling you might just agree on the Chiefs there.
Yeah, Brent, I'll just break this up into points and a handicap. Probably my best bet of the whole weekend. My number one is Chiefs over 25.5. And then also other points bets I like. I'm quite strong on Crusaders Hurricanes under 54.5. I think that's an absolute cracker. And then also I do like Reds over 25.5, but less confident than the other 2 points bets mentioned. Handicap wise, all over Chiefs plus 4.5, and I really like Reds to beat the Brumbies. And then just in Europe, just include a Euro punt. I like Bath in the minus, but minus 4.5, minus 5.5. And then probably my second best bet in Europe is La Rochelle minus 5.5.
Excellent. So there's plenty of bets to sink your teeth into. I'll watch the show probably in a fast forward tomorrow morning as I'm busy trying to tap out the newsletter before the workday goes. So I do subscribe to that and you can get our best bet. But gents, thanks very much. First of all, to all the guys in the live chat, thanks for great contributions tonight. Plenty of interest and plenty of division in the chat, which is always interesting as well. But Neil, great to see you again and have a cracking weekend. And look forward to when's the next round of Varsity Cup? Is there any games tomorrow, or do we wait a bit now for Varsity Cup?
Yeah, I think the next games are next week, and just a bit of a long-term Varsity Cup play that I've taken. I've taken Turks at 4-1 to win the VC. A slight bit of home ground advantage, playing at altitude. Marty's just not looking the force. This is probably the worst Marty side that I've ever witnessed. Marty's just not looking the force. UCT probably the only other contender to take it, and I just think that Tix will have enough at altitude to get the business done. So when I'm getting 4-1, I think that's a cracking punt.
Yeah, agreed. I think Marty's are completely out of the running. Did you see the size of their 8th man?
The Marty's 8th man.
I don't think he knows what preseason is. I've never seen an 8th man with such a gut like that.
Oh, then you didn't watch Diggers in the early 90s. Let me tell you that. But that was me. But anyway, that's another story totally. Quickly, give us a winner in the golf, Mike. Who's going to win the majors, the Masters?
So I was puzzling about this one because no one was really standing out to me. But after this first round that I've just been watching, and I'm waiting for it because I know it's a favorite. But for me, I'm kind of waiting for DJ to get to Friday, and I'm hoping his odds stretch to about 15, 16 to 1. And then I'm going to absolutely fire him because he was in cruise control today. Look, he didn't shoot well, but he didn't putt well, and he's still there and thereabouts. So for me, DJ, and then I think as a dark horse, who did we speak about today?
Leishman?
Yeah, Leishman, yes, but more of a top 20. But I like a bit of Victor Hovland. He's striking the ball really nicely, and he looks like he's in a bit of a rhythm. And geez, man, I've gone blank now. Colin Morikawa with his ball strike.
Oh yes, he's always good. I think a good iron player this week is what you're looking for here to win it. Anyway, guys, thanks very much. Excellent having you both on the show. Thanks, as I say, to all the guys in the live chat. We'll see you next week for the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters.
Thanks, Brent.